Butterflies. This is your girl, Sharon K. Griffin, aka Madam Butterfly. I hope that you are flapping your wings, yes, and having a beautiful day. I hope that you had a beautiful week as well. So, I have in my presence this beautiful soul with this massive, I call it a testimony, but she's so full of grace and her smile is just something. Yes, she is a New York Times best-selling author. She's a supermodel. She's a woman that has it going on, but most of all, she's a friend. Okay, she's a friend to so many women who have dealt with different issues. She is the author of Walk Beside Me, and her name is Christine Handy. So let's welcome to the stage this beautiful angel.
Thank you.
Where we're just going to have some girl talk today.
We sure are. I'm thrilled. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. So Christine, I don't think I did you any justice in introducing who you are. So please tell the audience about yourself and who you are.
Thank you. Okay, my name is Christine Handy, and I am the author of the book Walk Beside Me, which is actually being made into a film called Willow, the feature film.
I love.
But that's not even the good stuff. I am a breast cancer survivor. I am on the board of two companies. One is called eBeauty, and eBeauty is a wig exchange program for women going through treatment who can't afford wigs. Okay. And the other board position, I'm the vice president on the board of a nonprofit in Palm Beach, and it's called People of Purpose. And our mission is to reduce recidivism. And that's one of the loves of my life is mentoring people who have been in and out of prison. Okay. And I'm currently a student at Harvard University getting my master's degree. I'm a motivational speaker. I'm a women empowering figure. And I guess people would call me an influencer. So
I love it.
That's a little bit.
I love it.
I guess more importantly, I'm a mother.
I know that's right. So I know we're going to influence so many women today, so many women who have gone through some of the things that you've gone through. And speaking of going through, right, we talked about suicide a little bit and your journey of contemplating suicide. So could you talk to me and the audience about that? Because we don't like to share those things, those dark secrets. And for you to be so open about that, first of all, I give you kudos for wanting to discuss that, but I also give you kudos for not taking your life.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
By the grace of God and by the power of women, I'm still here.
Yeah.
Without question. I started modeling when I was a child, and I grew up modeling and I loved it, and it became a career for me. But during that time, as much as I love my career, your self-esteem does get chipped away. But I didn't really know that was happening. I just wasn't sure why I had this feeling of, I was a little conflicted.
Okay.
And so when I was 35 years old, I had a colon resection, and on the operating table, the doctor nicked a vein in my pelvis, and I almost bled to death on the table. And wow. I came out of that surgery. Now I was modeling lingerie and bathing suits for Just Add Water and JCPenney and Dillard's and Neiman's. And I mean, I was your catalog girl. You could open the newspaper, you can open a catalog, and there I was in a bikini or lingerie. And that was my bread and butter. And so I wake up from this surgery and I am cut from hip to hip. And wow. that wasn't my biggest problem, right? I almost died. I had a port in my neck. I was having a blood transfusion when I woke up in the recovery room.
Wow.
I didn't even know what a blood transfusion was. I didn't even know what a port was.
Okay.
I was in so much pain, and I put my hand on my abdomen, and I was like, I said to the nurse that was in the recovery room, I go, "What happened?" And she goes, "I can't talk to you about it. The doctor will be in here in a little bit."
Really?
That's a whole nother.
Okay.
Anyway. So that's when I first started to go, maybe my value, maybe my worth isn't just about what I look like,
Right.
because I'm 35 years old, I'm getting older, my looks are changing, and now I'm scarred up, right?
Yes.
Which is like we're not allowed to have scars, right?
But I have to say this. I'm gonna interrupt. You're beautiful. I don't know how old you are now.
50 now.
Me too.
I'm
You're
50.
beautiful.
I'm 50. And I'm proud to be
Okay.
50. I'm proud to be 50. Um, so anyway, 35, I was thinking into my really on a day-to-day basis, like, what's missing? Like, what am I missing
Okay.
about this? Because my value is in my job. My value is in the car that I drive. My value is in the external. My value is in the purse that I carry. And
Right.
but I kept thinking to myself, just something's missing. So fast forward 6 years, and I have a torn ligament in my right wrist. And I go see the best doctor. I go to the Stanford grad. I go to the best orthopedic clinic.
Okay.
And the guy, we have surgery. He does the surgery, and 6 weeks after the surgery, I get my cast off, and I think everything's fine. And 3 days later, my arm literally ballooned. Like
Oh, wow.
my arm looked like my thigh bone.
Okay.
And through a difficult time trying to get a hold of my doctor, I finally got a hold of him, and he told me I over-iced it. So because I don't have a medical degree,
Okay.
and I'm a woman who was taught to believe authority and to respect authority and not to question authority,
Yes. Yes.
I believed him.
Okay.
Fast forward, I won't bore you with all the horrible details.
Okay.
Fast forward 7 months of this doctor bullying me and telling me the pain was in my head and telling me that I was a hysterical housewife
Oh my goodness.
and telling me that I was just lonely and just wanted to complain, right?
Oh wow.
7 months of this, I finally get up the courage, right? Because my self-esteem is now slaughtered.
Okay.
I finally get up the courage to go see a second opinion, even though there's people around me in my life who are going, he's the best doctor in town. You should
Okay.
listen to him. So now I'm listening to other people, right? Instead of my intuition. And I finally see a second opinion, and I go into this doctor's office, and he takes one x-ray
Okay.
of my arm, and every single bone is broken. It's all my bones have now
Wow.
disintegrated and fallen into a pile on the base of my wrist. I'm in.
What happened?
I had an infection the whole time. I had an
Wow.
infection the whole time. And the first thing you learn in medical degree, first thing is do no harm. The second thing you learn, rule out infection. So
Wow.
both of those things are what happened to me. So I fly up to New York. I have now I don't trust any doctor, right?
Okay.
I've completely destroyed my arm. I haven't been able to take care of my kids for 7 months. I haven't been able to drive. My friends are taking care of me. My family's taking care of me. I've used all the tokens from all the goodwill of the people in my life. I think in my head. So I go up to New York. I get a doctor who will take my case, because often doctors won't take botched.
Right. That's true.
That's a thing. And this guy takes my case, and within a few days, I now have a cadaver bone and a fused arm. So I have no wrist. I have no wrist. It was completely destroyed. And I have a PICC line in my arm that's sending massive antibiotics to my body because this infection has crawled up my arm. And now I'm on these massive antibiotics for 6 weeks.
That's crazy. So let me take you back real quick. So, okay, you have this hip to hip surgery, right?
Yes.
So do you model after that? Like, what happens?
I didn't. No, I didn't. And it wasn't because I couldn't say to my agent, I'm just going to, I modeled clothes too. I'm more of an example, but I could have. But
Okay.
at that point in my life, it took me a long time to recover from that surgery.
Okay.
I did not just have one blood transfusion. I had 2, and it takes about 6 months to get your red blood count up after a blood transfusion. So now I have a year, right? And I had 2 small kids. And so I just thought, you know what, my career's done. Okay. And not because of the scars, but it's time to move on. And
was that hard for you? Because I work with athletes, and a lot of times once they're finished in their sports industry career, they suffer PTSD.
I didn't think it was over forever.
Okay.
I
Okay,
didn't.
good for you.
I thought it was going to be, I got to get my kids a little bit older, and then I'll get my feet on the ground with my career, and it'll come back. It'll come back.
Okay.
So fast forward to 41 with his arm. Now I have this. Now, if I think you can see it.
Yeah, I can see it.
So now I have no wrist, and I now have scars all over my arm.
Okay.
And I flew up to New York after the surgery for my 6 week. 6 weeks seems to be a theme in my life, actually. 6 week post surgery, post fusion of my right.
Wait a minute. You know, after you have children, you can't have sex for 6 weeks too.
That's true. That's true.
All right, I just had to throw that in.
So I go up for my 6 week post surgery checkup. Now, in the meantime, I'm thinking to myself, well, how am I going to drive with a fused arm? How am I going to grab the toilet paper, right? If it's on the body, how am I going to do that? How am I going to cook? How am I going to take care of my kids? How am I going to take care of myself and my family? Now I'm disabled. And I go up to, this is such an interesting story. I go up to New York and I'm staying at a hotel.
Okay.
Now, during my arm debacle, I had been using liquid soap and pouring it over my shoulder and letting it run down my body to wash my body.
Okay.
Well, I'm in New York City because I have these casts on, right? So I can't like take a bar of soap.
Right. You can't wash the cast.
Right. So I go up to New York and I call down and I said, I need a liquid soap. And they're like, we don't have any liquid soap. Use a bar. So I take the bar of soap and I go like this to my breast and I immediately find a lump.
Oh, wow.
And I'm
what did you do?
Oh, I panicked.
The reason I asked, what did you do? Because I actually had to be called back in because they saw something on my breast. And when the lady called me, what she said is, we found a mass. So when you tell me mass, I'm thinking mass destruction, mass choir, something really big. I was in my funeral. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, of course you would think that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we could talk about that too.
All right.
Anyway, so I find a lump and 5 days later, I'm diagnosed with cancer, an aggressive form of breast cancer. And now I'm like, oh, my life is over. There is no.
You think that?
Oh, yeah. No, I literally thought that. I thought I have no value in this world. My looks are completely gone. And now I'm going to lose my hair, right? So like no eyebrows, no hair, no. I was so sick. I got down to like 92 pounds.
I did see you. I did my research too. And I did go through the photos that are out there and, and I just said, wow.
But my point is that I thought my self-worth was wrapped up into what I look like so badly.
Okay.
And it wasn't just the job that I had. It was the culture that we live in. And my self-esteem had just gotten slaughtered through modeling and life and culture and institutional, right? And
right.
Yeah. And just my mom just walked in. Hi, Mom.
Hi, honey.
Hi, Mom. It's your black daughter.
Did they come?
Okay. So anyway, so I was so wrapped up into what the society wanted me to be, right?
Right.
And then when it was over, like my looks were gone and I was scarred up and I couldn't figure out how I was going to move forward. I didn't know if I was going to make it through breast cancer. And I believed that I had already used up the tokens from all my family and friends with my arm. And I was afraid to ask for more help. Asking for help is very courageous, but it's also very humbling. And so I said, okay, I'm done. And that's when I plotted my suicide.
Wow. So, all right, you're thinking suicide now. Did you go in depth, like how you're going to do it, where you're going to do it, like all of that?
Oh, yeah. Full on. Like I knew, okay, this is an even better story.
Okay.
So I knew how I was going to do it. And my older son was in boarding school.
Okay.
And I was waiting for him to get home from boarding school, not to tell him I was going to kill myself, but to tell him goodbye. I loved him. I loved him. I just, my mind was not in the right place, obviously.
Right.
And it was trauma after trauma after trauma. And I couldn't digest
it. Yeah.
I couldn't understand it. I couldn't process it. How had I gone from being, a really successful model and an athlete and a mother and a wife. And now I'm sick all the time. And it was like,
how'd you deal with that?
I plotted my suicide. I couldn't deal with it.
Okay. So, all right. Your son comes home.
My son, so he's supposed to come home to say, because we call him and say mom has breast cancer, and he's supposed to come home.
Okay.
And in the meantime, I'm telling my family and my friends, there's nothing you can do, but I just want you to be prepared. I'm going to take my life. And I'm not saying this as like a cry for help. I'm telling you this. I don't want you to feel bad after it's done. And you think to yourself, I should have done something.
Wow.
And so I'm trying to babysit, right, everybody else. And so in the meantime, my friends are like, oh, no. No, you're not. Not only.
Like, that was bold for you to tell them. So
I was worried that they were going to feel like, I can't believe I didn't see the signs. I can't believe I didn't stop her. I can't believe I didn't know.
But were you trying to get their sympathy so they would tell you not to do it?
I was always trying to make other people feel better. Like I didn't have the burden of saying to them, I didn't see the signs. And so my friend said to me, oh no, we're going to stand by you. You don't have to ask for help. We're going to take over your life. And I said, that doesn't exist. People come in, they come out, especially when especially when you have illness after illness and season after season of needing help. You don't assume that people are going to stand by your side, right?
The crazy thing, as strong women, we don't want to ask for help. It's
pride.
You think it's pride?
I'm positive. Pride and ego, because and shame. Like we're afraid. One, we're afraid of rejection. What if they say no? And two, it's like, no, we're supposed to be the tough ones. We're the ones that don't need the help. We're self, independent. And so that's where our pride gets in the way. It's not selfish pride. It's just pride.
I don't know, Christy. Like, I'm so used to giving.
Right? Is it hard for you to ask for help?
I don't ask just anyone for help. I'm going to say this. When they told me about the whole mass and the breast thing, the only person I told was my husband. Like, I didn't want to burden my kids or my family with the thoughts of what could be. I did tell my best friend too. But I felt like I could carry it alone. Does that make sense? And even, and I thought if I did have it, would I have told? I don't think I would have told.
I think the only way I can answer that is when I ultimately died to myself.
Okay.
Ultimately died to that old life, that old person that was infatuated with external things.
Okay.
And I ultimately died to caring about what other people thought of me. And once all of that shifted in my life, that's when I was able to ask for help.
Okay. Now I'm going to do some introspect work this weekend to ask, why don't I ask for help? And I think it's because I'm so used to just doing it alone. Yeah, like who else can do it better for me than me? Except when I've been to a life coach or a therapist.
Right.
Yeah, but to burden everyone, not even burden, like, I don't know. It's interesting. We'll have this conversation later.
And I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm just sharing from my experience. This is what I believe.
Right.
And so my son, who was supposed to come home the first weekend after I was diagnosed, got in trouble at school.
Okay.
So he couldn't come home. And so in the meantime, I have friends showing up every day. The second weekend he was supposed to come home, he got in trouble at school. And so they wouldn't allow him to leave campus. Again, I have had now 10 days or 12 days of people showing up and standing by my side. And I'm thinking to myself, maybe I'm wrong. maybe these people are going to stand by me. Now I knew I had 15 months of chemo.
Okay.
So that's a long time.
Yeah, I was going to say that's long.
Long time. I know the doctors had told me I needed 28 rounds of chemo. So now I'm like 15 months of these women showing up. There's no way.
Wow.
And I'm never going to get through it alone. So I have to take my life. And now again, my brain was not in the right sense, right?
Right.
I was trying to digest all the trauma.
You were processing everything.
It was too much. It would be too much for anybody. And so my son ultimately came home, but by the time he came home, it was 3 weeks of my friends pouring into me and saying, no, we're never going to leave your side. We won't forsake you, and God won't forsake you. And this story has purpose in other people's lives. And so once you get through it and you share the story, think about all the people that you can save.
So did you think you were going to live, or did you think you were going to die?
Well, by the time my son came home, which is 3 weeks after I was diagnosed, at least I was willing to fight for my life.
Okay.
And
okay.
I didn't know, and I was afraid, but I was willing to try.
What did that fight look like?
It was heavy. It was, I don't even know how to describe 28 rounds of chemo is. And I give a lot of maybe the cheerleading to my friends saying, well, they took me every time and they brought my chemo bag and they stayed with me when I was throwing up and they stayed with me. My friends used to feed me in the bathtub because I was so sick from chemo that the only way that I could really eat food was in a warm bath, because that kind of calmed my digestive system.
Okay.
They did everything. I mean, they cleaned up disgusting things that came out of my body.
That was nice. I mean, that's loyalty.
So incredible. But what I didn't do right after I was diagnosed, I didn't give any credit to myself.
Okay.
And so when you show up in the chemo room, I had to show up. Like I had to sit there with a port in my chest and have the drugs go inside of my body.
Okay.
It takes a lot of courage to do that. It takes a lot of prowess, right? I mean, we're tough. Like you and I, we're tough women.
Right.
Even as tough women, there's a lot of doubt.
Do you feel yourself smiling like now, or maybe then, when there is nothing to fucking smile about?
I ultimately did. And then, once I started to really fight for my life, somebody said to me, people are watching you. And I said, what do you mean? And they said, well, it's not just your sons that you're leading, right? By example, it's the community around you. It's your friends. And I really took that very seriously. And I thought, I can, regardless of whether I live or die, regardless of how sick I was, it was my reaction that was teaching me.
Right.
And you can take that with any trauma.
I choose to smile. Like, I'm a very happy person, period. That's just who I am. But on those days when people might be ruffling my feathers, or my period's about to come on, some days I just don't want to smile. So I make it a conscious choice to smile and keep going. Like, do you do that, or do you be like, today is just a bad day, period?
I'll give you a good example.
Okay.
And this is a good tool for your listeners.
Okay.
So I believe that most of our decisions are based on three things.
Okay.
Ego, malice, and compassion.
Got you.
And if you know that every morning you wake up and you go, okay, my decisions and my choices are going to be based on ego, malice, and compassion. And when you are sitting behind a car that isn't going because they're texting at the stoplight, you're going to maybe tap on on the horn a little bit, like, hey, just want to know there's 15 versus
I'm not going to do that one.
No, but those are two different reactions, right? One is malice and pride, because you think you're busier, or your time is more important than that other person. But the third way is compassion, like, hey, I just want to tap it a little bit because people are getting frustrated behind us.
Right.
Every decision, if you catch those thoughts, right, and say to yourself, how am I reacting to this decision? How am I making this decision? Is it based on one of those three things? And you will figure it out. You base your life on compassion. That's
I
what
love compassion.
but it's a choice.
It is. Well, I get my compassion from my childhood. Because it was one person that loved me to life when, everybody else kind of was like, oh, she's a lost cause. So it's that compassion from childhood that allows me to have compassion on mankind.
Okay, so let's take that a little further.
Okay.
You were given that compassion as a child. Somebody, one person showed up for you over and over again.
Yes.
Those women, when I was going through chemotherapy and I initially wanted to take my life, those women showed up for me over and over again. That is what shifted my life.
I love it.
So globally, if we show up for people as a community, as a culture, as a nation, if we actually show up for people and listen, our everyday life is different.
And I love what you said about listening, because I tell people, don't only listen with your ears, but listen with your heart.
That's compassion.
Because people are saying something.
That's compassion.
And that's just who we are.
Right. I don't know that we were born that way. You had somebody show up for you.
Right.
Which shifted probably your circumstances or your paradigm, right? When my friends showed up for me, I completely shifted. My life didn't become self-involved. My life became service and serving others and sharing the story and being vulnerable enough to share it, which is very scary and very courageous. But it wasn't for me anymore.
But people need it. People want.
It wasn't for me.
But people want authentic people, and people want people who are vulnerable.
They do.
They'll listen to you more because now they can relate to what you have to offer, and that's what I love.
Well, I think being real, right? Which is really, I think, it's a small fraction of our community these days. I mean, let's just take Instagram for an example.
Yes.
Let's take the filters. Let's take the reels. Let's take all of it. And you go, well, we're putting our best pictures on. We're putting our best videos on. We're putting our face forward. And we all look 30 because of the filters, which I really like them, by the way.
I actually do too.
I love them. And I use them. So I don't I use them. But my point is, if you have people that are watching that and thinking, oh, this girl has everything. Like, look at her, look at whatever it is.
Right.
That's false. That's a lie. And so I have to share under the pretty picture the truth. You know what I mean?
Some of us can't live a lie. Like our external scars, people see them. You know what I'm saying? So we can't really live too much of a lie when we're in their presence. Like, look at my eye, right? No one ever asked me what happened to your eye. They may say, oh, Sharon, your eyes are two different colors, but no one knows the story behind the eye. And that taught me compassion too, because I'm actually blind in my right eye. And I had caught a disease called toxoplasmosis when I was 6 years old.
Wow.
And my mother didn't know I was blind. I didn't know I was blind. But one day she said, something looks like it's wrong with your eye. And she took me to the eye doctor, and I was totally blind. Wow. But most people don't even ask that.
Right.
They might say something inside their head, but they never ask. And it's okay to ask. So
it depends on how you act.
It's who I am. I can't do nothing with it. I can't change eyes.
You wouldn't want to. You wouldn't.
No, absolutely not.
It shapes us.
So yeah, and even that gave me compassion because I used to be teased as a child.
Yeah, bullying definitely change you.
But you know what I tell people? I use my third eye. I might not be able to see you with two eyes, but I have a third eye that gave me. that
Yeah.
God gave me. So you don't want to mess with this.
I love it. Fierce. Most leaders like you and I are fierce.
We are. We
Fierce.
are.
Yeah. Nothing's going to push us down.
No, no. And if it does, it might be for a day or two or maybe a month, but no, it's not going to keep us down because we get up and we rise up like that Sphinx again.
We get up and we teach others. That's what
We
we
do.
do.
I love teaching others. How about you?
Oh my gosh. Like it's my purpose in life. Pain, purpose and pain. There's always purpose in pain, but you just have to be willing to share it.
Do you cry when you give speeches? Because I get so filled that sometimes it's not a sad cry, but it's a happy cry. And then sometimes it's a cry because I feel other people's pain.
You have a lot of compassion. That's really beautiful. That's a gift, actually.
Thank you. I don't like it.
It's a gift, but it is a gift.
Thank you.
It's part of God's gifting for sure. I don't get emotional when I speak because I'm a little bit detached from my story.
Okay.
I think that was the only way that I was able to get through all of that trauma. And there were other issues that were going on within my own home that I don't really publicly speak about. But so all of that together was too much for me to handle. And so I detached. And so when I do, I'm a public speaker. And when I speak in, on big stages and have thousands of people who are listening, I actually had I had a brand manager when I first started this about 5 years ago. He said, you should shed a tear every once in a while. The audiences will love it. And I was like, well, I'm not going to be fake about it, but okay, I'll try. Never. That I wish I could. It would help my audiences. They'd be like, okay, she has a heart in there.
Wow.
But I think it's detached.
I don't know if when I'm in the moment too, if it's the spirit of God that's on me.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's interesting. And the older I get, the worse it gets with this whole menopause thing.
Yeah. But what a gift for other people to feel that,
Yeah.
So many people feel unheard,
Oh, absolutely.
You hear people, and that's really beautiful.
Tell me about your miracle. Because any of them, because
it's a miracle that I'm alive.
Right. But just doing my research and as a person that has experienced miracles, has there been any divine, not like, okay, I went through the medical phase, but like an instantaneous something, even though miracles exist in any form?
Of course. Yes, they do. I have, I have a very powerful prayer process, and I'm a very strong, I'm a very strong Christian. And so it wasn't like a defining moment for me when I knew that I needed to lean on God. It was more of a journey through a lot of pain and trauma to go, okay, God's like, really? Like, you think you can depend on yourself?
Okay.
Where I finally just surrendered and said, okay, God, just take it. Just take it. And here you go.
I love what you just did.
Oh, and it's so, we carry this weight on our shoulders and it's so heavy. And God's just sitting there going, really? You think you can do it?
Right.
Good luck. And I'm like, oh, this pack is so heavy. And I, as a specific example, when I was trying to forgive the doctor that destroyed my arm, and by the way, I'm in constant pain every single day for the past 10 years. I can't get out of pain. Even now, every second of the day, I'm in major pain. And I don't take narcotics, and I've been to.
I was going to ask you, how are you coping? Okay.
It's a mind over matter.
Gotcha.
But it wears me down. Like I grind my teeth and I have trouble sleeping. I mean, you can't just imagine you're not in pain when you're in pain.
Right. You have a night guard?
I do. I just recently got it. Yeah.
Okay.
That helps.
Yeah.
Yeah. These little tools, right?
Yeah.
But I think forgiveness for me was really highlighted, right? When I was trying to process forgiving that man who bullied me and who destroyed my arm and who stole so much from me, right? Like he stole the time with my children. I couldn't drive my sons to school. One of my sons was in boarding school, but my younger son was home and I couldn't drive him to school for a long time, 2 years. And so I feel like that was stolen from me. And so for me to forgive that man, it took a lot. And ultimately it was, I read the scripture that said, vengeance is not yours. Vengeance is.
Yes.
But it's not that simple, right? It's
not.
It's a process. But once we get rid of that backpack and that weight and surrender, I think that gives us a bigger light. I think that gives us a bigger smile.
It does. And it ushers us into our healing too.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. That doctor didn't care that I was angry. That doctor didn't care that I was.
That's right.
I was the one that was hurting myself with the unforgiveness.
Yes.
It wasn't affecting his life. It was affecting me. And
he had moved on. He's like, whatever, lady.
He had moved on. But it was affecting my relationships. And it was affecting my self-esteem.
Got you.
So
we're 50 now, right?
Yes.
And we're super fabulous and super beautiful and all this kind of good stuff. So when you see how you've aged and, I've aged over the years, do you embrace that? Like, what do you do?
I don't hide anything. I don't hide my age. I don't lie about it. I don't pretend. I do use some filters on Instagram. I will say that.
Okay. Have you gotten Botox or anything yet?
I have gotten Botox and I have never had plastic surgery. I've never had elective plastic surgery, right? I had mastectomies and I had implants put in, but recently the implants have been taken out, sadly. I loved my implants.
So right. and I told you before we came on, I love mine.
I loved them. But for your viewers, during COVID, I had a massive infection in my breast, in my left breast. And it was a MRSA staph infection. And ultimately, after 3 stints in the hospital with 4 days each time, massive antibiotics, that the infection would not go away. And the infection ultimately ate a hole through my left breast and it had to be excavated. So my implants are gone. My chest has been excavated. So technically, from a insurance perspective, I've had 4 mastectomies, which makes no sense.
Okay.
But when I checked into the hospital this summer, I didn't really check in. It was an emergency. When they said they have to excavate my breast cavity because of this infection, I had to sign paperwork that said I was having a mastectomy. And I looked at the doctor and I was 103 fever and very sick from the infection. I said,
right,
I'm not having a mastectomy. I had a mastectomy in 2013 and 2016. This is not a mastectomy. And he said, this is how we file it for insurance.
Okay, so that they can pay.
But it was really, I didn't really like that. I didn't really like that they had to say that, because then it was a label that was put on. And then I was like, okay, well, now that I've had 3 mastectomies, that doesn't feel very good. And then ultimately the other side had to come out. So then 4 mastectomies. Right. And so I don't really like those kind of labels, but I had to work through that. And so now I don't have a flat chest. I have a concave chest.
So it goes in. It
goes in. And so my ribs are out further than my chest cavity, my chest wall. Okay. And I don't wear a prosthetic. I was
going to ask you that.
I think everybody in my situation, it's a very personal decision. Okay. And I respect everybody's decision. I don't want to cover up me. And this happens to be who I am right now. It may not be what I want. It may not look what I want, but I still am not covering it up.
So when you look in the mirror, right, does part of your heart sink, or have you embraced it and you're like, this is it, baby?
It's new. I had the second breast cavity removed in end of September.
Okay.
So it's really new. And I'm still digesting it because I live in Miami. I mean, we're in bathing suits all the time. And even if I didn't even if I didn't live in Miami and what we weren't in bathing suits, I'd still have to, right? You look in the mirror and you look at yourself and your reflection and all those other things. And I'm taking my time trying to figure it out.
Okay.
In the process, I feel like I'm a good role model for other women going
Yes.
through not only just breast cancer, but who are in the situation with this concave chest, because I'm able to just say, I'm not covering it up. And this is what
Okay.
this is what it looks like. And a lot of people that I've talked to, a lot of people that have reached out to me have said, they don't want to have sex with their husbands or their significant others without
Mhm.
a sports bra on.
Okay.
They don't want to go out in public without a prosthetic. They don't want to go out in public without something to cover it up. And
Right.
and what I say to them is, you have to do what's best for you. But
Right.
for what's best for me, which is different than what's best for society,
Yes.
I'm going to be me. And in order for me to heal from this, I need to be just me, not cover.
Now, are you married?
I am. I'm actually going through a divorce right now.
Okay. Sorry to hear that. Okay.
Yeah, it is sad. It's really sad, actually.
Well, I have to tell you this. I've had 4 divorces. Okay. So.
Okay, that helps me. Yeah, because this is new territory that I'm not really fond of.
I was actually married 16 years the last time I was married. I am remarried, number 5 now. So
I saw in 2019, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I saw your
Was it 19? Yeah, it was 19. Yeah.
I saw your pictures. It was beautiful.
Oh, thank you. And God did that. God did that.
I love that. Well,
And
I keep praying about that. I keep saying, God, plant somebody right in front of me because I'm tired.
oh, honey, I already know. I was tired, but you know what I had to do? I had to dig deep and look at myself. Um, and figure out what was wrong with me. Because a lot of times we point fingers, and
Yes,
I'm not saying this is your case at all, so please don't think that. But I had to finally look in my mirror and say, okay, baby girl, you need to get these right. And I think, once I did that, and to me, this was miraculously. God just put me next to my husband in a club in the Dominican Republic, and we
oh,
shared the same birthday.
that's beautiful.
Right. So it
He
was
just
just a God moment.
God put him in front of you.
Yeah, it was a God moment, and I just feel blessed. So to encourage you, you don't know how, you don't know when, but you just know it's coming.
Thank you. That really helps me because it's a conflicting time for me, and it's kind of wearing me out. I'm like,
I
really,
understand.
God, like I've had enough trauma. I don't want any more. Can we just not have to go through this? So anyway,
Right.
thank you for that.
But guess what? There's something called the bounce back,
Okay.
where you will bounce back and be better and greater than ever. And God allows certain things to happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes to get our attention, sometimes because we're going to launch even further,
Yeah.
and those people can't go with us,
Mm-hmm. That's so beautiful.
and that's okay. So even in that, like Ariana Grande says, thank you, next. So whatever you learn during that process, thank you, God,
Yeah.
next. And be open.
Yeah. Oh, I'm definitely open.
Yeah, be open to whatever God has for you.
I love to love. I love to love
Yeah.
people. I think that we are meant to walk in companionship with other people.
Yes.
I don't like to be isolated or alone. And I've lived alone for 5 years. My husband and I were separated for many years and
Okay.
lived in different cities, actually.
Okay.
And it wears you out to be eating alone a lot and meal after meal. And especially during COVID, it's very difficult for people, including myself. And I think we're meant to live in, with a companion. I think we're meant to live in companionship.
Right, right.
So,
But I also have to encourage you with this. Live your best life. Live your best life. So
yes.
right now, moving forward, it's about you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I have this saying, love thy selfie.
I love that. That's a good one.
Yeah. And then
We all need mantras. We all need things to
we
read.
do, we do. And
I use a good one. I say to myself a lot, okay, let go and let God.
that's it.
That's
That's
it.
it right there.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's hard. I mean, I remember I was married to a preacher, so to two.
It's true. Yeah, it's one of your types, I guess.
Honey, not no more.
Thank you, next.
Huh?
Thank you, next.
Yes, thank you. But you know what? When I look back, I say, God, thank you for the faith that was placed into me during those times.
Yeah.
Because my faith is so, I don't want to say so great,
That's beautiful. Yeah.
you know. So
He's our root. He grounds us.
he does. And he grounds us with people and we get lessons and then we move forward and we get more lessons.
Right.
So it's okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's okay. You're welcome. You're welcome. So tell my audience more about you. Like you live in Miami, you're fabulous, you're the supermodel, this best-selling New York Times author. What else do we need to know?
Well, we can talk about my book for a second.
Yes, please.
My book is a really interesting book. I wrote it as a fictional depiction of my life. So,
Okay.
The story is the truth, but the character names have changed and the city was changed. And, people have really loved it. And I think it's because I was so vulnerable in talking about what really goes on, not just during breast cancer. Actually, my book, the breast cancer doesn't even start in my book till page 200.
Okay.
And so it wasn't, it's not a book about breast cancer. It's a book about this transformation. It's a novel. It's a fiction. It's this transformation from being, self-involved and caring so much about what I look like and caring what other people, thought of me and to go from that to illness after illness and to come out of it, really a shift in my perspective. And at the end of the book, it's really just me walking down a beach and walking away just saying, okay, I don't know what is, what's going to happen in the future, but, I give it to you. And so it's a beautiful story. And like I said, it's being made into a film. And the screenplay for the film is so interesting because a lot of books get made into films or TV series.
Yeah.
And I was approached 3 different times to have my book be made into a film. And the third time it actually worked out.
Nice.
But each process that I was going through it was a teaching process, right? And the third time, and the screenplay was written, the screenplay really resembles my book. It really mirrors the very essence of what I wrote. It mirrors the very essence of who I am in my story. And that's so beautiful because oftentimes we see these films and we say to ourselves, oh, we should read the book, and the book's so different.
Right. You're like, huh? Where'd they get that from?
Right. But in this case, the book is going to be, the film is going to be just like the book. And so I'm excited about that. Okay. It's been paused because of COVID and filming.
Yes.
But it was supposed to start filming last spring, and now we'll see, when it starts filming. But yeah, it's exciting. It's
super exciting. So are you allowed to tell me who plays you?
I'm not allowed to tell.
Okay.
I'm not allowed. And because I'm not really part of that process.
Okay.
That's secret information. I'm just the writer of the book. They don't all their big talks like about the film. They don't include me on that.
Really? You're not in on that process?
I was in the writing process. So when they were writing the screenplay, and this amazing man wrote it. His name is Ziad Hamza, and he's an Oscar award-winning screenplay writer, director.
Nice.
He's the bomb. And when he was writing it, I had influence over the script. I could say approve it. I don't approve it. I think we should go this direction because it really is my story.
Yes.
But after that, they were like, see ya.
Okay. So did you give
I'm
her?
going to be on set every day.
Okay. Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Did you give away your rights? Do
Uh,
you have some rights?
I have a lot of rights. I actually hired a great entertainment lawyer, and she out of Boston, and she's a badass woman.
Nice. I love badasses.
I mean, and that was actually my second contract with the film. I had a first contract, which I thought was really good, and I did that, and then I
Okay.
hired her, and I had a much better contract, and I wouldn't have known any of the things that she added unless I had hired her. And so it was a small investment, which will turn into a bigger investment. You know what I
I
mean?
know that's right.
Right.
Can we talk about investments real quick? Because so many people are afraid to invest in themselves,
Yes.
not seeing the big picture.
Yes.
So please talk to my audience about investing in self.
That's taken me a long time. Can you hear my dog? He's like going crazy. He's like,
It's okay. It's okay. I love dogs. I have one.
my mom brought him in after she popped her head in and she left him in here and she shut the door. So he's freaking out.
It's okay. You can pick them up and put them on. We can say hi.
Come here. Come here. I actually come on. Up, up, up. I adopted him. He's a rescue dog.
Oh.
And his name is Eastwood.
Oh, he's the cutest. Hi, Eastwood.
His brother's name was Clint. So
Okay. Clint Eastwood. I love it.
Well, sadly, his brother didn't make it.
Okay.
Both those dogs were abused by their first owner, and I adopted Eastwood, and the brother didn't make it. But anyway.
Okay. Is he a Pekingese?
No, he's a Shih Tzu.
He is so cute.
It's cute. He's got a personality.
I love.
Anyway, so investing in yourself. I think you have to have a strong self-esteem to invest in yourself. And I think that the other thing about investing in yourself is it's critical to maintain a self-esteem.
I love that. Mm-hmm. Because so many people don't have, I don't want to say a high, but a high self-esteem regarding themselves. We believe in other people before we believe in ourselves.
We cheer other people on before we cheer ourselves on.
Right. And you know what? I often ask people, how can you love a guy you don't see, but don't love yourself when you look in the mirror? Like, to me, that's very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't love myself for so long that when I started to really love myself, I was shocked.
Really? What were you shocked about?
That I was actually taking the time to love myself. Because for my whole life, I felt alone and orphaned and unlovable. And it wasn't because I was doing bad things. I just, that was dismissed in my life. And I don't know if this is the right word, but like you said, you had that one person really show up for you.
Right.
I think that defines your self-esteem when you have people show up for you, especially as a child. And I have great parents. I'm not saying that, but my parents were busy and they had things going on, and I wasn't around them very much. And so I felt very alone. And I think when you feel very alone, you feel like you're unworthy of being loved.
Okay. I
can only speak from my experience. Yes. And so again, and I picked a profession picked an interesting profession, with a low self-esteem. But ultimately, after all the trauma, and I figured out who I really was, who was inside, not outside, but who was Christine Handy. And I figured it out. I was like, I'm never going to stop loving you. I'm never going to stop taking care of you. And I put a picture of me as a child in my bathroom mirror and said, we've got this. I'm going to take care of you. There's no doubt.
And you know what I teach women? Let the little girl inside come out to play. And I love the fact that you took a picture of yourself as a child.
Yes.
And said, I'm going to love you, because so many women have that inner child and they don't know how to let her out and let her go and let her dance in the rain and be free.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And
I honor you.
We can take that picture and we can just look at it and say, I'm going to protect you.
Yes.
And hug that child and say, you know what, if you might have been alone back then, but you're not alone now. I've got you. You know?
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm just like, wow, like my heart is just palpitating.
So I think that self-esteem for women and many men needs to be worked on every single day. Our society will tear us down in 2 seconds. Comparison takes us down as well.
Especially when you're a role model, like you were a model, and you know, these athletes, it's 1 minute you're up, and as soon as you make the slightest mistake or you don't make that touchdown or whatever, you're nothing.
Well, you feel it, you're like you're not relevant.
Right.
When you're always relevant, but that's
but they don't know that.
They don't know that because they
don't feel that.
Well, because they're aligned with what they do.
Right.
And not who they are.
That's right. And I actually was on Clubhouse today. Are you on Clubhouse?
I just started today.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go follow you. So I was in a room with a lot of athletes and people that serve athletes. And the main thing was a lot of athletes don't know who they are.
Exactly. And you can see why. They're defined by what they do their whole life.
Yes.
Exactly what happened to me with my career with modeling.
And well, here you are now, a badass.
Thank you.
Even more badass.
I mean, I like the 2.0 version better personally, but I like I like her too. I like the other version too.
I love that. Could you please tell my listening audience how to reach out to you? If someone, do you do coaching as well?
I'm a mentor.
Okay.
But that's not, I don't really get paid for that. I'm a motivational speaker, and that's really my day in and my day out job. Although now that I'm at Harvard getting my master's degree in literature, that's becoming more of a part-time job too.
I can see that.
But you can get my book basically anywhere. It's online. It's in bookstores. It's called Walk Beside Me by Christine Handy. And it's a really, I don't have the book in front of me. It's so pretty. It's a really beautiful cover. It's got feet. It's just this really pretty cover. Feet walking in the sand. And anyway, so you can find my book anywhere. And my website is christinehandy.com, and my Instagram is christinehandy1. And pretty much Christine Handy 1 on Twitter and all, and on Clubhouse, Christine Handy 1.
Okay.
So, but I get a lot of messages on Facebook and Instagram, and I respond to every single one of them. I'm very accessible, and I love to help other people. It's really my mission in my life, is to serve other people and really help, especially women. So I hope people reach out to me.
Oh, how awesome is that? So, Christine, I want to say thank you for gracing my stage with your presence and with your, I call it testimony.
Thank you.
And also with your heart.
Thank you.
And being vulnerable on my platform. So I want to thank you for that. I'm going to take you off the screen. Don't go anywhere, and I'll be right back. Thank you so much. Wow. I tell you, this was beautiful. Christine Handy is someone that you definitely need to reach out, especially for the women who are, I'm going to say, going through anything, but especially breast cancer, or if you just want to know how to survive and to embrace your miracle, please reach out to Christine. I think that she would do you a world of some good. So I am not coming back to you live tonight via this platform. I just might do a live by myself. So I want to say, if I don't, have an amazing weekend, and make sure that you flap your wings. And for some of you who are still in the cocoon, it's time to come out of the cocoon and be that beautiful butterfly that you were created to be. Why? Because God does not make any junk. Everything that He creates, everything that God creates is always beautiful. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. This is your girl, Sharon K. Griffin, AKA Madam Butterfly. I love you.